Hello everyone and welcome. In this next video, I'm going to show you how to create a mood board using the Pinterest app. If you're familiar with Pinterest, you can search images on the web, well, through the Pinterest website at least, and you can pin these. So when you pin an image or a GIF, it will save it to your own profile. And then in your own profile, you can make separate kind of like placeholders or separate boards for all of a set of image. Or set of images. What I'll do is jump right in and I will start sharing my screen. Okay, so you should see my DuckDuckGo here. I'm just going to start by typing in Pinterest. And you'll see it is the top result up here. So I'm going to click on here, go to the website, and it'll look just like this. So what you'll need to do to create a mood board is you'll have to create a Pinterest account. These are completely free. I have already created one. So all I'm going to do is log in. But if you hit sign up, all you need is an email and a password. It will ask you for your birth date, but from what I've noticed, you don't have to actually provide that. So I'm going to click out of here. I'm going to go to log in because, again, I do have an account. I'm going to log in. My info is already here. And now what you'll see is, okay, it's asking me to have an ad blocker. I'm going to leave that on. I'm not too worried about it. So right now, this is showing me ideas for a desert Pinterest board. So this is something that I created in the past. I was just kind of playing around with this. But I can hit my little profile in the top right here. And now I'll see kind of all my pins. Now, right now, I have all pins, like a tab says all pins. I have a desert Pinterest board right here as well. You'll see there are 28 pins, and it was last updated 8 minutes ago. I was just playing around with this. So if I click on here, you'll see now these are all of the images or pins that I've added to this specific board. And this is what you'll be creating for your mood boards. Now, there are only 38 images in here. For the mood board assignment, I believe the requirement is at least 30, maybe 35. I think it's 30 images. You're obviously welcome to add more than that, and I encourage you to add more than that. The more you get in here, the more you'll start getting an idea of what kind of visual language you want for your levels or for your game space. Now, let's say I want to create, like, obviously this is very desert themed, right? So I was kind of going in with the idea of making some sort of 2D desert platform, right? And as you can see, there's tons of different kind of content in here. There's stuff for 3D games. And if I click on this, it'll show me, hey, there are 3D low poly pack. And oftentimes they will provide you with a link to open this up in the original site if there is like a poly pack that you can download. Otherwise, let's see, I know I've had some of those. We'll try this one. So you'll see this one has a link to eBay. So if I click on here, now I can get these 3D printed kind of cast and play desert core set terrain essentials. So these are going to be like 3D models that are physically printed for like tabletop gaming maybe. But there's going to be a ton of these images. They come from all over the web. Some of them are like actual player packages. So if I click on this one, you'll see this is like a 2D pixel art kind of like tile map. And if I click on this link, well, it's showing me where this image originated from, right? So I might be able to find this package somewhere in here. But the whole idea is that you can use Pinterest as a starting point for gathering resources. At the very least, you can use it as a starting point for gather visual references for your own games. Again, here's another kind of like a tile set. Some of these are more landscape. This is kind of a top-down gridded style. This looks like it's from an old school kind of pixel game. But really, you're just looking for images and reference that will help you define the visual style in your own games. So I'm going to show you how to create one of these, and it's pretty easy. I'm going to go back to my profile, and as you can see, I'm just right here. So let's say maybe I want to create a mood board for like a sci-fi space traveling game. Maybe I want to create a 3D game where you're exploring a decrepit or derelict space station. So what I can do is we'll just type in space station. Okay. And we can start from here. If I type in maybe just space game, you'll see that I'm probably going to get several other results as well. Can't find any saved pins. That's okay because I don't have any saved yet. But if I scroll down here, you'll see that now I'm getting kind of more gamey aspects. This is like looks like a top-down kind of bullet hell game. This looks more like a space traveling game. This looks kind of like a top-down, not really spacey, but I have a lot of different, content in here. So let's say maybe I really like the look of this kind of like these characters bopping up and down and this kind of weird spaceship space home. So what I'm going to do is, let's say I like that image. I want to maybe create a more pixelized and stylized look. All I'm going to do is hit save, and this will save this image to my profile. So if I go back to my profile by clicking this icon in the top right, and now if I scroll down, you'll see unorganized ideas, and you'll see that this pin is down here. So I can organize this, and I will do that later. But what I want to first do is create a board in this top section. So you'll see that I have this desert Pinterest board from earlier. This is something I created in the past. And this is all of my pins, all the pins that I have selected ever. Now, if you look over to the right, you'll see this plus button, or this little plus icon. If I hit this, I can choose to create a new pin or a new board. I'm going to create a new board. So I'm going to hit board. And I'm going to call this whatever I want to call it. Maybe we'll call it space game. Space station game. And if you want to keep this like a secret or like a private board, you can do that by checking this box. But no, if you're doing that and you try and share this with someone, you're not going to be able to view it. So I'm going to keep this not a secret for now. And you can always change this later. And I'm going to hit create. And it's going to suggest like, hey, let's save some pins to this board. And it's going to look at the name that I've called this and kind of make some recommendations based on that. So I'm getting some like, spacey games. I'm also getting some interior spaces and some weird stuff. I'm not going to select any of these, and I'm going to hit done. So now we'll see I'm in my space station game board, and there's nothing in here. Now, if I go back to my profile in the top right, I see that my space station game board is here, and I have 0 pins in it. So let's say I want to add this pin to my board. This is really easy. All we have to do is go over to the right again in this lower section and hit this organize button. I'm going to select the image that I want to add from my unorganized pins, which right now there's just this one image. So I'm going to select on this image. I'm going to hit next. And now I'm going to choose where I want to save this pin. And I'm going to go to my space station game, click on that. And now you'll see a little icon that says it's moved. This says 0 pins, but if I click on it, it will update, and now it shows me this space pin. So let's go and look for some more images. So let's say space station. I really did like this one, so I'm going to hit save. And if I hit that save button, it will just save it to my unorganized files or unorganized pins. So what I'm going to do is actually scroll through here a little bit more and just grab images that I find influential or very interesting or visually dynamic, or something that I might want to emulate in my own game level. I do like this interior space. It looks like a kind of like a private, living space with this window that looks outside of a space station. I like that aesthetic as well. It's very kind of like moody, very low saturation, not really bright. So I'm going to save that. Let's see. I kind of like these interior shots as well, because if I'm trying to create the interior of a space station, then I need some interior spaces to reference. So I'm going to save that one. I also like this one as well. And if I click on any of these, I can see them a little bit bigger. And I like this kind of idea of having greenery inside this like very sterile space. So I'm going to save that as well. And you'll notice that if I click on one of these images, I hit more to explore down to the bottom. And so these are acting like recommendations based on this singular image that I have here. So I can scroll through these and get more kind of like specific images based on the one that I've already picked. I do like kind of some of this concept art too. These like weird, very sci-fi, like cloning, or maybe like hyperbaric chambers or something like that. I think that's pretty interesting. I do love some like isometric images as well. So I'm going to add these door models. I click on this image, click off, and then click back in it. Doors for different types of like airlocks or doors in a star or a spaceship. This could be valuable as well, so I'll save that. And you'll see that I get more recommendations. And if I want to go back to my original prompt, I'll just hit these back arrows. And then it will take me back to this space station search. So I'll scroll down here. Maybe I want to get like a good idea of what kind of space station I want to build. So looking at these kind of exterior images will be helpful as well. Notice how a lot of them share very similar structures. So I'll save that one. I like images like this as well. So these are like parts and components. So these would be like assets for a 2D game. And I find those kind of valuable too. Even if I'm making a 3D game, having some of these 2D assets can be helpful. Since I've clicked on this kind of like sprite sheet or tile sheet, and I scroll down, I'll get more recommendations for similar content. Again, sprite sheets, tile sheets, sets of 3D models, and things like that. Kind of like this look. This is very gamey, and this kind of like digital space station door that's being hacked open. I kind of like that aesthetic. I also like the look of the floors here, and I like this kind of almost like very refined pixel graphic style. I'm going to save that. Let's see. Oh, I like this little robot character. That's fun. A little walking creature. All right, so I'll add that. And these can really be whatever is pertinent to you, but make sure that this is relevant to the game level that you're creating or the game project that you're working on. You don't want like high fantasy Dungeons and Dragons when you're making a pixelated like space game, right? So I'm going to step out. I'm going to go back one and back maybe again and look through some more. This seems very like space station-y, kind of like infrastructure. And I think that that kind of content is going to be important for when I build out my space station. So I'll save that as well. Okay, so I've saved several images here. I'm going to go back to my profile in the top right. Go. And so now you'll see my unorganized ideas. I have all these pins that I have clicked on. So what I'm going to do is just add these all to my space station game board. And I'm going to do that the same way I did my first image. So I'm going to hit this organize button right here. And I'm going to select all of these images. And you'll notice they have a little check under them. It'll tell you at the top how many you have selected. And I'm going to hit next. And then choose my space station game again. And it will save all of those pins into this board. So now I can't scroll down because I don't have any unassociated pins. If I click on this board, now I can scroll through here and see all the other pins that I added on here. Now I have maybe 13 pins total. And again, remember, you want at least, I believe it's 30 for the mood board assignment for level design. Now, let's say you get your 30 images in, or however many you want to use. Another thing to note, whenever you are adding images to a board, it will eventually start making recommendations based off of what content is already in that board. So find some ideas for this board. If I click on here, it'll just show me ideas that are linked to, one, the pins that I already have selected, and two, the name of my board. So now I'm getting more kind of like specific space station-y kind of, these are mostly interior spaces. So this is kind of what I'm getting recommendations, because a lot of what I already have are interior spaces or like models and robots and characters. I like this too. So I'll add that as well. And if I hit this profile, I can change this, save this directly to my space station game. So you'll see that it's space station game now instead of profile and save. And you can do this, from the start. You don't have to go into your main profile and organize them all. You can do this just when you're in looking at pins. And I kind of like this look too. Maybe not the style I'm going for, but again, drop down this profile, hit my space station, and it will save there. So, okay, Let's say I'm happy with all the pins that I have in here, and I want to share this pin with someone. So you can see that latest one that I added. All we have to do is you'll have this little share button right here whenever you're looking at the actual board. You'll click this icon, and you can get copy link. So link copied. Now I'm going to open up my Windows Explorer here, and I'm just going to paste that link. So Control V to paste, and hit enter. And now you'll see that I've been invited to collaborate on this board. You can accept or decline, but this is how someone would share this. So I'm not in my actual account, right? I'm not logged in, but I can view this board. Now, if I made this board private, I would not be able to view this. So that's one thing you need to realize. But this is really the basics of creating and sharing a mood board using Pinterest. And this is a really wonderful idea, or what really wonderful way to quickly get some visual inspiration on your game ideas and start mapping out what kind of visual vernacular you want to use. Do you want to use something that's really graphic and stylized, maybe low poly or pixelated? Do you want to create an image or a game that is more photorealistic? You want it more stylized and like making use of fine line work and craft like this, or do you want it to be more pixelized? Whatever you choose is totally up to you. But I really consider you to really dig into Pinterest and look through a lot of these images. There is a ton of content on here, and they make really great recommendations. So use this to define your game space, to define your visual language, as well as the LDD that you'll be working on this week, which is your level design document. There are tons of ways to craft your story, your structure, and your systems all within your game, right? You need to define your setting as well. So setting, story, and structure, or setting, story, and systems are going to be your three major components of a level design or any kind of documentation, but especially for a level design documentation. So anyways, that's it. Hopefully this is helpful. I'm excited to see what you all create, and please let me know if you have questions.